Hey there, cozy builders. My name is Sam, and welcome to my Tiny Glade series. In this series, I take inspiration from either the daily Tiny Glade pre-builds, real historical buildings, or mythical places from around the world, and I try and create a beautiful scene within a 1-hour time frame. Then I add some fast-forward magic and share a few fun tidbits related to the build. With the recent release of the new Downton Abbey film, I thought it would take some time to build the Crawley's beautiful home and explore the history of Highclere Castle. Highclere Castle, located in Hampshire, England, is a 50,000 square foot mansion with towers, turrets, and castle-like battlements that sits on 5,000 acres of parkland. The house has over 300 rooms, though only about 50 are frequently used today, and includes a dramatic saloon with Gothic arches and a vaulted ceiling, rich interiors with silk walls, marble fireplaces, and ornate woodwork that has become the iconic backdrop to the famous Downton Abbey. However, its roots date back to the 8th century. The land was originally owned by the Bishops of Winchester, one of the oldest dioceses in England. The estate was a fortified manor house, with a chapel, barns, and included a village settlement right near where the castle now stands. This medieval village, often called Highclere Village, was occupied for centuries by tenant farmers and labourers who worked the lands for the Bishops of Winchester. During this time, the Church of England owned vast tracts of land across England, but by the 1600s, some of these lands were less profitable or harder to manage directly. Around that time, Highclere was purchased by the Herberts, a wealthy and influential Welsh-English family with ties to the court and local politics. Once in possession, the first Earl of Carnarvon decided to create a more picturesque landscape around the castle, and as part of the redesign of Highclere's grounds, had the village moved. The Earl didn't remove the village out of cruelty. It was mainly about fashion, landscaping, and status. During the 18th century, aristocrats across England wanted their estates to look like romantic landscapes rather than practical farmland. The Earl hired leading designers who began to redesign the castle to showcase sweeping lawns, lakes, and natural vistas. He wanted to create the ultimate status statement, and removing the village allowed the Earl to have uninterrupted views from the castle, which is especially important when entertaining high-ranking guests. It's also important to note that the villagers weren't simply left homeless. They were moved to a newly built settlement nearby. During this time, relocating villagers was a common practice, and villagers were often moved to planned villages that provided sturdier cottages that tended to be closer to the church, where plots were arranged neatly rather than scattered. The medieval village near the castle disappeared, but traces still remain, including ruined foundations, outlines of cottages, and the site of an old church. However, even with the new Highclere village established further away, the people continued to work on the estate as farmers, gardeners, and servants. So while the move disrupted ancestral ties to the land, it didn't erase the community. The most famous Earl of Highclere was George Herbert, the 5th Earl of Carnarvon, who had a wonderful fascination with ancient Egypt and helped finance archaeology digs. In 1907, he hired archaeologist Howard Carter to supervise his excavations in the Valley of the Kings. After years of unsuccessful digs, and nearly having his funding pulled, Carter finally uncovered the steps to a sealed tomb in November 1922. Inside was the nearly intact tomb of the famous King Tut, filled with treasures like golden shrines, jewelry, statues, chariots, and the iconic golden mask. It was the most important archaeological discovery of the 20th century, and the castle maintains an impressive Egyptian exhibit that honors this history even to this day. Over the years, the Herbert family's wealth and connections eventually made it possible for them to redesign the castle. In the 19th century, they commissioned Sir Charles Barry, the same architect who designed the House of Parliaments, to rebuild Highclere Castle into the spectacular Jacobean mansion we see today. Blending Renaissance symmetry with Gothic ornamentation, Barry gave Highclere the famous central towers, with pinnacles, spires, and battlements to create a castle-like feeling. He reorganized the layout to give the castle a balanced, symmetrical frontage, with wings of the house stretching out from the central tower. Bath stone was used to give the exterior a warm, honey-colored glow, and carvings, arches, and details were added to elevate the facade from the manor house into something much more grand, including a main hall with a 60-foot high vaulted ceiling, surrounded by Gothic-style arches. Throughout history, Highclere Castle was passed down through generations, and the Herbert family still remain the current owners of the castle to this day. The 8th Earl and current owner is Lady Fiona Carnarvon, who happens to be close friends to Downton Abbey writer and curator Julian Fellowes. Highclere Castle wasn't chosen for Downton Abbey by accident. It had the look, history, and atmosphere that Julian Fellowes needed. Downton Abbey is set between 1912 and 1926, and Highclere Castle is the epitome of a real aristocratic home from that era, and so it became the primary filming location for the show and subsequent films. Its grand exterior serves as the Crawley family's estate, and the interior is used for many of the show's most iconic scenes, including the drawing room, dining room, and grand staircase. The upstairs rooms were in excellent condition and could be filmed with minimal set dressing. And one of the most filmed rooms in Downton is Highclere's library, which houses over 5,600 books, some dating back to the 16th century. The Downton Abbey production team brought in hundreds of props to transform rooms into Edwardian spaces. They even aged new furniture and fabric to make it look authentic, and the cast and crew were careful not to damage the priceless carpets, paintings, and antiques during filming. Now, not everything was shot inside Highclere. The servants' quarters and kitchen scenes were filmed on a soundstage in London, as the real-life kitchens had been modernized. Highclere Castle wasn't just a beautiful backdrop for Downton. Its history also played a big role in the show. One instance the show followed Highclere's history was showcased in Season 2. During the First World War, Lady Almina Herbert, the 5th Countess of Carnarvon, transformed Highclere into a hospital for wounded soldiers, paralleling the story arc in Downton Abbey. The great saloon, drawing room, and dining room were cleared of fine furniture and turned into makeshift hospital wards. Lady Almina trained in nursing and recruited staff, some professional and some volunteers. She even worked hands-on with the patients. After Downton Abbey aired in 2010, Highclere Castle experienced a huge surge in tourism. Fans from all over the world traveled there to experience the real Downton. Tickets to special events such as Downton-themed tours and Christmas at Highclere are very popular and tend to sell out quickly. The tension between tradition and modernism, between the aristocrats' desire for grandeur and the everyday lives of the ordinary people who made that grandeur possible, perfectly reflects the themes in the show. And Highclere Castle's history made it an inspirational setting. And there we have it, folks. Whether you know it as Highclere Castle or Downton Abbey, this grand estate has seen centuries of history, from medieval villages to Egyptian treasures, from wartime hospitals to beloved television dramas. I hope you enjoyed this build and learning about the iconic Highclere Castle. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to stay up to date on my next upload. Thanks for spending this time with me in TinyGlade, and I'll see you next time. Bye!